mean, Biden did step down finally. He's 81. He's old, but Kamala came in, and that was my big concern, right? I was going to vote for Biden. Lacey was going to vote for Biden anyway, but I was also voting for Biden in the sense that he's 81. What I'm really voting for is Kamala Harris, because Biden. What are the odds he lives out 4 years in a term? So you're voting for the vice president, right? Just as much as you're voting for the president in that scenario. Typically, I wouldn't give a shit who the vice president is, but in that scenario, it was concerning. Just like Trump's 78. So what are the odds Trump survives 4 more years? They're pretty low, right? So really, you're voting for J.D. Vance. It was his vice presidential pick. And that guy's a freaking nut. We'll cover...
Man, did my little heart have a moment at that phrase.
Oh, man. What, Lacey, don't you think you should be forced to be in a marriage even if your husband's abusive to you? Oh, and you can't be in a gay marriage. Fun fact.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Let's take, 5,000 giant steps backwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact, I don't think we should be taking relationship advice from J.D. Vance because, and I will bet money on this, I'll bet you Lacey's been in more relationships with women than J.D. Vance has.
Oh, my.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Do we know his number? I don't know his number.
I'm guessing it's single digits.
All right.
I'm guessing I could count it on one hand. He's a doofy guy. Anyway, though, but because of this, the age thing, Biden's now stepped out at 81. Trump's 78. But Trump now at 78 is the oldest person in the history of this country to ever run for president. And I want to get into that because it's freaking funny. So here's David Pakman, and he covered this story, and I thought this was just hilarious.
On Fox News saying all of a sudden they're talking about Trump's too old. This is not going to work. She doesn't seem to get that it started as an obvious joke, but it's kind of working. So maybe it is a good idea.
What happened is like the Democrats have this bat signal that goes out like, here's the new talking point. Mm-hmm. So after saying that Joe Biden was perfectly fine mm-hmm. and his age didn't matter at all, and he runs circles around them at the White House. Now all of a sudden.
I know, I love that. Go ahead.
Can we get one of those? I don't think we have one, but if we could get one of those, that'd be pretty great.
Well, that's the thing. It's so funny. There's a bat signal of the talking points. The Democratic Party doesn't work like that. The Democratic Party is a lot of different coalitions. There's more left-wing coalitions. There's lots of different races, different sexes. We have most of the women. Lots of different age groups. Republican Party is predominantly, the vast majority of Republicans are non-college educated white men. It's one cohesive glob, right? And they fall in line. That's why when you watch Fox News, if you ever, don't do this if you don't have to. I've done this before. If you watch Fox News for 8 hours, right?
Why you would ever do that, I don't know. Please do that if you don't like yourself very much.
Right, but if you do, you see the progression of how it works, and it's the same talking points all day, and they just beat you over the head with it. But it starts early in the morning, and they have the Fox and Friends show, and they do some people are talking about how Joe Biden's really old, and maybe he can't be president, and his mental ability, right? And then as you go through the day, they keep talking about it, and then by the time you get to the early afternoon, it's, there are serious concerns out there about Joe Biden's ability, and people have said this, and da-da-da-da-da, and they've been reporting on it. And what they're talking about is what the morning show did. Like it's a fact. So they manufacture a story to manufacture a talking point. The funny thing is she's saying the Democrats do that. And I love it when you watch Fox or Republicans or right-wing people. Every time they accuse somebody else of doing something, you can be certain they're doing it. It's exactly like a cheating spouse. You know your spouse is cheating when they start accusing you of cheating. because it's on their mind.
And this memo basically goes out that says Trump is.
By the way, when the word basically doing a lot of heavy lifting, a memo basically goes out. Now, we all just realized it's really funny that now we can just focus on Trump's age the way they've been focusing on Biden's age, and they can't go, well, your guy's even older, because Kamala Harris is 59, and they are furious.
This memo basically goes out that says Trump is now the oldest nominee in history, and it's so incredibly ridiculous because they actually seem to believe that
now it's ridiculous?
Cutesy ridiculousness like that might work. I don't think
So that's what's so funny. So for the last...
Now it's ridiculous?
I know.
That's straight out of your playbook.
Right. For the last 6 months, that's all you guys have been talking about. That's all the Trump campaign is Biden's too old. Biden's got mental problems. Biden forgets where he is. Biden's not capable.
Hey. So I want to say, I have never been on team caring that much about the age of the person running.
Sure.
I really don't. I actually might be a little biased if they were too young, because I don't want my whole country run by a 25-year-old.
You have to be 35 to be president, but yeah. So.
Yeah, well, for a reason, exactly. That being said, you know, you don't get to be the people who are like, oh, age matters, age matters, age matters. Never mind, age doesn't matter anymore. Like, it either does or it doesn't. To me, I don't care about his age the same way I didn't care about Biden's age.
Right.
But in all fairness, if you guys were going to be like throwing that blow at Joe, you can throw that at old Donnie Boy too.
Right.
Fair is fair, man.
Well, what happened was, and this is why it's funny, and he's kind of, we'll watch a little bit more. What happened is him and a bunch of other people, because they've been ragging on Joe Biden forever about it, but also about half the electorate, over half the electorate, thinks Trump is too old. But it was the two old guys, right? Now that it's a young woman, or not young, but she's 59, a middle-aged woman, right? Now it's like, well, wait a minute. Now Trump's too old, because Trump's 78. And Trump forgets names. Trump forgot the name of his vice presidential pick. He called him J.D. Mandel. I mean... Trump forgets all shit all the time. Trump falls asleep in court. He falls asleep at the RNC. I mean, Trump's old.
So, okay, I'm digressing, but I'm sorry. Can you imagine being the current VP pick and the potential phone call you could get as a warning from Mike Pence?
I was gonna say, you know, we'll
Can
get it.
you imagine a phone call like that? Like, be careful, dude. You don't know what you're signing up for. This sounds real great.
Well,
I tell you, it is not.
Well, no, and they had that. We'll talk more about J.D. Vance in a bit, but yeah, I mean, he's basically signing up to be blamed for everything. He didn't realize it. I don't think he's that ultra bright. He's a good writer, but he's not that bright. But that's the thing is, now that it's the shoes on the other foot, now they're all fucking pissed about it. That's what's fucking hilarious here. So, we're going to watch a bit more because this just kills me. Come on, computer.
It's going to work.
Well, it started as a joke. If they weren't wildly triggered by it, it wouldn't work. But it's infuriating them so much, and it's reportedly getting back to Trump as well. The great thing about this is we on the left, we all know it's nonsense in the sense that Trump's age has nothing to do with why we aren't voting for him. It is also the case that there has been huge corporate media malpractice. Think about how since June 27th and Joe Biden's poor debate performance, there have been thousands of stories and likely tens of thousands of corporate media hours cumulatively devoted to Joe Biden's cognitive state. Despite the fact that for years and since June 27th, every single speech and interview that Donald Trump gives is mangled and scrambled beyond recognition. He seems visibly confused and nonsensical. The point of all of this, other than pointing out the absurdity of the media malpractice, is exactly to trigger them like this. They are furious. And
he's right. And that's what happened that I think is so funny, because I covered this last week. This was a big story. Trump met with a bunch of CEOs. This was a week or two ago. We covered this. And all the CEOs, most of them were already kind of in the tank for Trump because they're looking at, well, we want less business regulation and we want lower taxes. And we're not going to get that from the Democrats. And they had this thing where they invited both Biden and Trump. Biden couldn't make it because he was at the G6 or something, or NATO or whatever. Trump came, Trump spoke, left, and they talked to, these guys all talk. They're all CEOs. They all know each other. They all talked. And basically the word out from them was, oh, well, I was for him, but not anymore because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He just meandered the whole time. He's senile. So that was the thing but that story wasn't covered. What was covered was Biden's debate performance. Biden's too old. They can't cover that anymore. That's been their whole thing they've been running on. Biden's too old. Now Biden's out of the race. It's a younger candidate. So now the left makes the joke, oh, Trump's too old. Huh? Oh, Biden was too old, now Trump's the oldest ever. Now they're all pissed because they're like, oh, no, you can't use our thing against us. That's not fair.
Wait a minute. We said that first. You don't get to say that about our guy because we said that about okay, never mind.
Right. So yeah, they're pissed. He's right. It's hilarious, but that's what they're doing. I mean, it just cracks me up. But there is a big referendum on that. That's going to be a big issue coming into the election. But